behind the scenes, the nerdy commentary, and I'm talking about the very first interview that I did with Elizabeth and Helen, their sister duo, and they wrote these books. The series is called The Beast of the Briar. At the time that I'm recording this, 3 books are out with a 4th one coming out soon, and I believe there's going to be 7 of them. And I want to do this behind the scenes commentary because I just think this whole process is extremely hilarious and there's a lot of growing pains. And I want you guys to know what it was like to chat with them, how it felt, and then just the general behind the scenes stuff about this episode. I'm recording this on July 11th, which is the day that the first episode is going to be out. And I say going to because it should have been out hours ago and it's not, and I will get to that in a minute. But first I want to talk to you about the actual interview with them and how it was like to even get in touch with my very first authors, because they're definitely the ones that springboarded this whole thing. I reached out to 4 authors at the same time. I feel like, can I say them? They were Elizabeth and Helen, Melissa Albert, Hannah Parker, and last but not least, Bridget Kemmerer. I reached out to the 4 of them at the same time, 5 technically because Elizabeth and Helen, but 4 groups of them, and Elizabeth and Helen were the first ones to respond. Now, how did I manage to get in touch with them? One is they're actually pretty good with their social media as of right now, but also several months ago when this show was an idea that I'd had this idea for years. I've been wanting to interview authors since I was in middle school. I wanted to be an entertainment journalist. I thought it was so cool. I also wanted to be an actress and a writer, and I still do, but I really like journalism because I could be in the entertainment industry and speak to the people that I admire and I, wanted to be like. I even studied journalism, fully wanting to do entertainment journalism, but my plan was always to interview authors because I always thought it was so funny that all of these movies and TV shows were adapted from books, and other than like massive authors like Tolkien or like George R.R. Martin or J.K. Rowling and stuff like that, people didn't really know the authors unless you were a fan of the books. Yes, but like you could be a fan of the movies and the shows and not know that they came from books at all. And I always thought that was so weird, and I wanted to interview authors since I was a kid. So all this to say that this is why I started doing this show. I've been working on this for months. I should probably do a separate video of just the process of getting this off the ground. I might do that and get into that and retell this story again. As far as Elizabeth and Helen, I wanted to already start it, but I didn't know when was the right time. I didn't know how to get access to authors. I thought it was like an idea that I was gonna have to wait years to do because I didn't even do this kind of content. I don't review books really, and for my videos I make skits about general bookish things, but I don't really have access to authors or publishers or anything like that. So I was like, this is an idea that I'm gonna have to hold on to for several more years. Jeez, I can't speak. But as it turns out, I did a video where in a funny skit way I promoted a lot of books, and I got several authors to follow me back from that video. Elizabeth and Helen were some of the authors that followed me. I had already been following them, so it was crazy to me when I saw that they had not only commented on that video, but then later on followed me back. That video also got me several other people, other authors commenting and then following me. And it was then that I started realizing maybe I can actually start this sooner than I thought. I started setting it up. I have a friend who works in marketing, and I started talking to her about what would the title of it be, what would I need to do, what kind of, like, I needed a logo, like I obviously needed a title, like again I didn't have the title for it. I gave a bunch of ideas and we started chatting, and this has been a chat that had been going on again for months and months and months. It's been going on for quite some time, and believe it or not, I still don't have everything that I need, but I felt that if I waited for everything to be perfect, that I was always gonna psych myself out. So I just needed the basic things to be settled. What was the name? What is my logo? I needed a pitch deck so that I could send the authors, and I needed just a general idea of where I was gonna post it and what kind of things how I was gonna structure myself. Once I had that, I felt confident, and I reached out to my authors, and Elizabeth and Helen said yes. We set the interview up. The interview actually happened back in May. It was May 9th, I believe, that the interview took place. In the afternoon, I had all morning to kind of prepare. I picked out my outfit, which I wore this exact same corset, different jewelry and stuff like that, but I was very meticulous about it. I wanted to dress up kind of the vibe of the story. There's a lot of symbolism on roses and thorns in the books, and so I wanted to kind of have that vibe as well. You'll see it in the interview. I'm also wearing 2 ear cuffs. I'm not wearing them right now. I am wearing flower earrings, but I was wearing a rose ear cuff and a like thorny ear cuff to kind of represent that and stuff. I just felt really clever. I wanted to be able to dress up the vibe of the book, and I was so excited. I was so excited. But even that day there were some growing pains. I was freaking out about my questions leading up to it. The night before I couldn't sleep because I was thinking, like, should I take off this question? Should I add this question? Am I asking too many questions? Am I asking too little questions? Am I asking non-interesting questions? I was doubting everything that I had done. So I couldn't sleep at all, even though the interview wasn't until way later in the afternoon. I didn't sleep. I spent the whole morning sort of freaking out and revising the questions and adding, erasing. Before all this, I had to learn a new system on how to do these interviews because I didn't want to do them on Zoom. Zoom, it's like limited, and then I didn't want my picture to be tiny, and I was like, how do people do this? And I had to figure that out. Before all of this, obviously I had to contact mutual content creator, people that had never physically met, but we've been friends, like mutual friends, and I reached out to them. One of them does the Keeks show, the other one is, the username handle is Straw Hat Goofy. I also reached out to another mutual friend of mine, her name is Michaela, and she does fandom videos, and she's been really good about doing both skits and videos where she chats, and I wanted to know how she merged the two without having two separate channels. So I chatted with a lot of different people about this, and they all gave me great advice. But yeah, the day off I was extremely nervous. I didn't know what to expect, and then it was finally time for the interview, and I couldn't figure out how to send them the proper link. Like, this was like 10-15 minutes beforehand. I decided to brew tea because the name's the Nerd Tea, so I was like, I need tea. Like, it's extremely important for me to have tea, and I had a little flower teacup. I thought I had framed myself correctly, but later on I realized that, like, it was off to the side, it was a little tilted, my bookshelf didn't look pretty, and I was like, oh my god, it was too far back, I think, or something like that, or my mic was too far back. Like, there was definitely a lot of learning. Originally my plan was to make these interviews 30 minutes with the potential of one day expanding, but since I was brand new, nobody knew me, I was like, 30 minutes, I could get people to watch around 30 minutes if they're really interested in something. But the interview, as it turns out, I did have a lot of questions, a little too many questions, and I also didn't anticipate the fact that it's a conversation. It's not just a plain interview. It's not just like ask, answer. It has to flow a little bit. So it ended up being over an hour, and I remember freaking out, and I think you can kind of see it in my face a little bit. I am worried towards the end that they want to leave, that this is boring. Towards the end of that interview, I'm feeling very insecure. Nothing to do with them. They were wonderful. They were literally the best first guests I could have asked for because they made me feel so comfortable and they were so into the conversation, but I felt really insecure and I was wasting their time, and I was just really nervous about that fact. And I think you can see it on my face if you really pay close attention that I was a little scared towards the end, or a little nervous towards the end. I also realized that I hadn't interviewed in a very long time, and despite it all being journalism, I didn't realize how much my training really reflected a lot more of like hard journalism, and I wanted this to be more of like a talk show. I always loved the idea of being a talk show host, and I wanted more of that vibe, very much like a Graham Norton vibe when everyone's chilling. Obviously one day I would love to do this in person, and my idea is to have like little teacups and everything around, and we were just like sitting in like on bean bags with like a whole bunch of books around us, and that's kind of what I want. But obviously I can't yet, but that's the vibe I wanted to get, even though it was virtual. And I realized that I needed practice on that. Like, I tried to make it flow as much as possible. I didn't want to interrupt them too much, but I also didn't want like the awkward pauses. And so it's something that I haven't had to use that skill set that I did do a lot when I was a reporter. I haven't had to do that in such a long time that there were definitely growing pains. As far as the actual authors and how they were sweethearts, both of them. They were so nice. We chatted beforehand as well, where I explained the process, and I did explain to them that they are my very first guest, so there were certain things that I didn't have quite figured out. And the fact that they were still about it like meant so much to me, you know? If they were bothered by the fact that I said it was gonna be around 30 minutes, I didn't say it because it ended up being an hour and 17 minutes. I did at least schedule them for an hour and a half. At least I had that chunk settled. I had such a lovely conversation. I did pull back when I wanted to really lean into the fact that their book had a lot of sex scenes and smut, but I guess I got shy, and so I kind of reeled back the questions a little bit, and later on I kind of regretted not leaning into it because that is way more of myself. I wanted to talk about everything that I talked to them about, but I also wanted to talk about this and just be like girlfriends and be like, so how did you even come up with that? Like, that was naughty. And I wanted to talk about that, but I got a little scared. Now I know not to get scared and just to go for it, especially because they were giving me such good vibes. I think that they would have been really open about it. You also can't write a why choose, like a really smutty why choose, without being really open to talking about it. So I don't know why I got scared at the last minute. I had a question ready and everything, and I just skipped it and never asked it. Again, you live and you learn. And then as far as what's been happening since then, everything has been an experiment. I've had to, like, how do I advertise it? How many videos do I do to advertise it? Do I open another account for this or do I not? I decided not to for now. Like, how many videos, what type of videos, like how do I edit this? I still haven't quite figured out everything. And then I had to actually edit the whole interview. I separated the interviews into 3 parts. That's how I format my interviews, talking about their books, talking about their writing, and then kind of miscellaneous bookish fun, getting to know them type of thing. Last minute I decided to get graphics done for it because my cousin, that's what she studied and that's what she does, and so she did them for me. But I asked for them so last minute because I got the idea so last minute. I asked a friend today if she could make me a YouTube border for my thumbnail. It's been such a long time since I've edited something so long. My plan was to have it out by 5:30 p.m. That was my plan. That's what I, and then I was gonna post the promo videos, and then I was gonna go live everywhere so that I could talk about it and I could advertise it. It is currently 9:45 p.m. and it finally YouTube just told me that the checks are done, so I could actually post this, and I'm gonna do this while I'm here with you guys because I can actually post it fine. Oh my gosh, it is currently 9:45. It was supposed to go out at 5:30, but it's going out literally right now. Anyway, so yeah, it is out now. Jeez, but it's been a whole ordeal. I've been editing it slowly for weeks now, and I thought I had more time. I didn't anticipate that after I did the subtitles that I would have to render. And for those of you guys who don't know, it's essentially like, I don't know how to describe it other than like you kind of refresh everything so that things move quickly. Tried to render it and it was like, oh, it's 6 hours, but I was working all morning, so I didn't start doing the subtitles until later in the afternoon, and I was like, I can't do 6 hours of rendering time. So I had to fix the subtitles without rendering, which meant that every time I changed something and there was a lot to change, it would freeze. And there was a lot to change because it's fantasy, so it didn't recognize the names. It didn't recognize the places. It didn't recognize a lot of the tropes and didn't recognize a lot of what we were saying. And obviously these 3 people were all talking like on top of each other at some points, and so it took forever. And then I got the graphics. My cousin, the poor soul, like sent them to me this morning. I had to put those in. Those had to be rendered out. I'm hoping I didn't have a black frame anywhere because I started moving things around, but I couldn't. Everything was freezing on me. My other friend got me the little a little kind of sticker graphic for my logo at the very beginning. She sent it to me while I was still like working on the video, so I had to render that, and then I had to change the video that I had underneath. It was just way more than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was chilling because I had edited the video and I just really needed the subtitles and those little graphics, and I thought it was gonna be fine. Now I know that obviously I need to do all of this beforehand and maybe schedule out the video the day before or something like that, but that is something that I learned literally right now, considering the fact that it was supposed to be out at 5:30 and it just went out at like 9:45. So that is insane. Not only did I have to do all that, but when I was exporting it from Premiere and then uploading it to YouTube, and then YouTube had to process it, and it's just crazy. But yes, I'm excited because the conversation was really fun. I'm excited because I really enjoy their books. I had never read Why Choose before, actually. I was like, that is insane. Like, what? More than one man? For those of you guys don't know, it's a woman with multiple partners. And I was like, what? So essentially, like, you know how love triangle is like, oh, they have to choose between these people. Well, and Why Choose, it's literally like, why choose one? We can have them all. So I had never read Why Choose, and the way that this came about for them was TikTok kept sending me their videos. They make videos advertising their books, and it kept sending them to me. And eventually I got curious. I found out that it was on Kindle Unlimited. I actually got my sister's Kindle Unlimited specifically to read this series, I think. Yeah, I read them. I was so obsessed with it. So obsessed that after I was finished with all the books that were currently out at the time, I went on a Why Choose spree. Read like 6 other Why Choose series. I realized they're not all created equal. Some of them don't take the time to really develop the relationship between all the characters. So I really appreciate that this was my first experience with Why Choose, because it was really, I not only enjoyed the story, I enjoyed each character individually, and I enjoyed each character's relationship with each other. I thought it was really thought out. So I'm so excited that I got to interview them. But yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to them, and that's why I started reading their books. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear the conversation, and I hope that you guys will also get inspired to read as well, because it's quite interesting. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so there's like fun little nostalgic type things in the first one. Later on it kind of moves on from that. But yeah, my plan was originally, like I said, to go live, but I did go live on TikTok while everything was processing. But I guess I'm gonna have to do my plan of going live on YouTube and Instagram later, because I can't do it right now. I'm so excited about my graphics. I have other plans. I wanted to do an animation for the little graphics, and I want to have like a little jingle. That's how it went. Like I said, it was a great conversation. I learned a lot. I can't wait to keep learning. I can't wait to keep evolving, and I hope that you guys enjoy this behind the scenes look at what it took to bring it all together. I also had to buy so much equipment, the mic, I had to buy a webcam. I had to figure out how to use all of this. Thank goodness for my friends who were my guinea pigs. I had to reread the book so that I could make sure to remember everything, because there were some little details. I was like, what if I don't remember? So there was a lot. It was a lot, but I'm hoping that I can start having a pattern now. And hopefully this is the first interview of many. I will hopefully post every month. As I'm recording this on July 11th, the first interview it's just out now. I've also talked to 2 other authors, and I have 2 others set up to chat, and I have several emails sent that haven't received their response yet. We'll see. Cross your fingers, guys. Oh, my stomach is growling because I am starving, because I've been so nervous all day that I forgot to eat lunch. So I'm gonna go do that now. I hope you go see the interview. I think it's a great interview. I think you guys are gonna really enjoy it. That was the Nerd Tea behind the scenes commentary. See you in the next page.